Deacon Massey, start us off.
I'm gonna start things off because I want to go back to our introduction to our lesson. And I'm gonna try to tie it in with the question here. I ponder as I studied my lesson, I pondered, class. If you never read God's word, how am I supposed to know? How am I to treat my brother? These are some things that I feel we're missing out on today. When you don't know God's word, how can you understand here that I must conduct myself in a manner where not to offend my brother? One of the things, and if you all can remember back a few months back, when we talk about putting a stumbling block in the path of your brother, I mentioned to you all that I went to a massive family reunion, and Sister Mass and I like to cut the rug. The music get going, Sister Mass and I we can get on the dance floor and not make ourselves shame. But I woke up 4-day Sunday morning, and I asked myself, did I offend someone else with my action? It's what Paul is saying here. It may be all right for me, but am I putting a stumbling block in the path of someone else? So this is what Paul is saying to the Corinthian people. We have to conduct ourselves. We have to be disciplined at all times as we go through this life.
Thank you. Any other comments? Because at this point, we know that Paul, he's giving guidelines for the Christian freedom, specifically regarding eating meats. But there are some things, like he said, that we're dealing with that are not specifically outlined in the Bible. So there are some things that we have to ask ourselves, we have to pray about, and we have to ask ourselves, was this helpful? Did this, like the question that he asked, did it offend anybody? Is this causing us to be a stumbling block to anybody? But I think Pastor Ton already addressed your question. He handled that right away. And then, was it helpful? Was it helpful? Did it cause anybody to stumble? And in the end, does it glorify God? So, like I said, this lesson makes us look at ourselves. What are our actions doing? Everything is not outlined in the Bible, but we need to ask ourselves these questions. Yeah. All right, so any other comments on that? So we know that he's specifically talking about eating the meats. What was going on during that time?
Y'all help us out. This lesson is all about what was taking place in Corinth at the time. And Paul was trying to address the Christian. Remember, I always say that these was young Christians who may not have always known what to do. They was coming out of the world and they had been exposed to some things. I think back in maybe the 6th or 7th chapter, Paul was addressing a situation where the Corinth thought it was all right for the son to sleep with the stepmama. These are that gray area that Paul, what we are talking about today, what I mentioned, it's a gray area. And we have to be, as Christians, we must know God's word and have respect for our brothers.
Amen.
So that's what he's addressing.
Amen.